We would like to welcome all of you to the Slyman Theater, downtown New Iberia, to our forum for our candidates seeking the office of District Judge 16, Judicial District Court, ES2 Division D. That's long. 16th Judicial District of Louisiana is comprised of the parishes of Iberia, St. Mary, and St. Martin. The courthouses of the district are located in the three parish seats, New Iberia, Franklin, and St. Martinville. The caseload of the entire district is handled by 8 elected judges of various divisions. I, Kevin Romero, your moderator for tonight's district court judge candidate introductions. Because judges are restricted on the kinds of information that they can make public comment on, this portion of this evening's program will be an opportunity for the candidates for District Judge Division D to introduce themselves and share their qualifications with you. Tonight's forum is sponsored by the Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce, the Daily Iberian, and Leadership Iberia, which I'm a graduate of Class 7. What are we on now? Like 17, Class 17 now. We'd like to thank the City of New Iberia for the use of the Slyman Theater. It's always a nice place to meet. There are a few announcements before we begin this evening's programs. Tonight's sponsors wish to remind you that the last day to register to vote is September 24th. Early voting runs October 10th through 17th, and Election Day is October 24th, so everybody go out and vote. Also, the Chamber is posting all forums to their YouTube channel at youtube.com/goodnewsiberia. So if you know somebody that would like to see it and have missed it, please invite them to visit the YouTube page. Additionally, the Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce is encouraging a yes vote to all 5 propositions relative to the Iberia Parish Home Rule Charter amendments on October 24th ballot. Push cards in the lobby on this topic. Now on for our program. We ask the audience hold all applause until the end of the program out of respect for the next person. Candidates for this position are Mr. Eddie Guidry, Nick LaRocque, and LaRocca, all right, sorry, and Mr. Lewis Pittman. So we drew numbers to determine the order in which the candidates will speak. Each of you will have 8 minutes to tell us about yourself, your qualifications, and why you are seeking office. The order in which the candidates will go: first, Mr. Lewis Pittman; second, Mr. Eddie Guidry; and third, Mr. Lewis Nick LaRocca. Close enough?
I guess.
All right, some rules real quick before we get going. To assist the candidates in keeping time, we have a timekeeper, and timing lights are situated down front. Candidates, when your time begins, the green light will come on. Try it. There we go. Thank you. When you have 1 minute left, the yellow light will come on. And when you are out of time, the red light will come on. At that time, you must finish your sentence. If it takes more than a few seconds, the buzzer will sound and will let you know that you must stop. So now that you know what to expect, we'll go ahead and get started. First, Mr. Lewis Pittman.
Waiting for my light.
Green light. Keep it on now. Here we go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lewis Pittman, and I'm a candidate for the judge, as our moderator explained to you. Once again, I'd like to thank all our sponsors for giving us this opportunity. Real quick, I'm going to give you a real short biographic of me, what I am, and who I am. I'm 60 years of age. My wife and I have been married to each other for 40 years. I've been an attorney for 33 of those years, and she and I have lived in the same house in the Lowerville for 31 years. We have one daughter, we have one child, our daughter, and who and her husband have given us 2 great grandsons, aged 6 and 2, and we have 2 dogs and a cat, like everybody else. My legal experience is very complex. It started in 1982 when I graduated from Loyola School of Law in New Orleans. We returned home, my wife and I, to start our future back in Iberia Parish. Fortunately for me, Texaco drilled a hole in a salt mine, and Mr. Pat Caffrey's law firm had to hire an attorney to help him with it, and I got a job. When I went to work for Mr. Caffrey, Mr. Jerry Oob, and Mr. David Dugas in 1982, I was a law student who knew nothing about being an attorney. Those three men trained me and taught me how to be an attorney, and for that I'm eternally grateful. And as some of you may remember, Mr. Caffrey was a fine gentleman who passed away about 2 years ago. But things being as they are, in 1991, I went on my way and opened my own little practice with the help of Cameron Simmons and John Connery. They were up counsel. They saw some potential in me that I didn't see, but they saw it, and we started my little practice here in New Iberia. It was in the shopping center next to Lewis Street Bridge. At that time, my main interest was real estate transactions. I wanted to do real estate. Why? It's the only time you can walk in a room and nobody's mad at the attorney. Everybody's happy. But, you know, being young and starting off my own, I also handled any case that walked through the front door. And that was varied. And you can understand that. In 1994, we got together, Cameron Simmons, Gary LeGros, and myself, and formed the firm of Simmons, Pittman, LeGros, having offices in Jeanerette, Franklin, and New Iberia. I was in New Iberia. We had 6 attorneys working with us at that time and had a very good operation. In 2004, I took my real estate practice and put it together with a Mr. Richard Becker from Lafayette and Miss Maggie Simon from here in New Iberia, and we opened an American Title Company on Lewis Street, which is still in operation today, closing home loans and commercial transactions for people in this area. Shortly thereafter, the firm of Pittman and Broussard. Broussard being Mr. Kevin Broussard, who was originally from Morgan City, but found his way to Iberia and stayed here. Of that firm right now, which is presently in operation, we have one associate, and you're right, it's my daughter, Kay. The interesting thing about my legal career is that in January of 1997, I was approached and asked by the Public Defender's Office to help start a new program, the first of its kind in Louisiana. It is a drug court program. It started January 1997 in Franklin, St. Mary Parish. That was where it began. I was there for it. For those of you who don't really understand drug court, it's very simple. It is really a drug treatment court. The clients get treatment. They go through a series of phases of their treatment. If they do their work and do everything properly, they get advanced and eventually graduate. If they do not, they get sanctioned by the judge. The sanctions can range from community service to spending some time in jail. And if they really do terribly bad, they will be terminated and serve some type of jail sentence. In 1998, after 1 year of progress in Franklin, I was asked to come to Iberia, and then New Iberia started their drug court. Consequently, after 3 years there, the decision was made for I to go there to St. Martinville in St. Martin Parish and help them start their third drug court. For the last 18 years, up until April of this year, I was the drug court attorney for the Franklin and St. Martin drug courts. But during my 18 years of experience with the Public Defender's Office, I just didn't handle drug court. I handled anything that came into the Public Defender's realm. What I like to call also the specialty courts. One, of course, is the drug court. The other one is the child in need of care courts. And the other one is the juvenile delinquency courts. These are courts are not open to the public, so you do not have a whole lot of understanding of what they are, and I really can't talk a great deal about them other than this. The child in need of care courts are when the state of Louisiana, through the Department of Family Services, removes children from a home because of difficulty and danger to the children. The juvenile courts are when young people under the age of 17 have committed crimes, and they're being handled in a different way other than an adult. These are specialty courts. These are courts that are not handled by every judge every day. Judges volunteer for these, and they operate them, and the attorneys that handle it with them have to learn a special set of rules and procedures and regulations to handle that. I handled those during my 18 years. Before I became interested in running for judge, I did ask people what they thought would be the best qualifications to be a judge. The first thing that was told to me is you have to listen patiently. Judges are assigned cases. They don't get to choose the case they want. They're assigned it. The parties come in, they litigate it, they present the case the way they want to present it, and the judge has to sit back patiently and listen to it. That is very important. I want you good folks to understand that because of my drug court, child in need of care, and juvenile, and public defender criminal matters, I've learned to listen patiently to people. I've listened to drug court clients telling me they don't have a substance abuse problem. There's no need for them to be here. I've had child in need of care parents tell me their children are safe living with them. They shouldn't be removed from them. And I've had criminal defendants tell me, I didn't do anything wrong. I want to be released from jail. I've been able to listen to these good folks tell me their side of the story and listen to it patiently, and when they get finished, explain to them what they're looking at and how we're going to handle their cases. I understand how frustrated people can get when they get into court and they want to tell their side of their story to the judge or to anyone that will listen. I can assure you, based upon this experience for over 18 years, I have done that. I want to get to one thing real quick. I know, I got 1 minute. I moved here in the 7th grade, and I've been a resident of Iberia Parish since that time. I've only missed 3 years living here, and that was the 3 years I was living in New Orleans to go to school. I'm very proud to be from Iberia Parish, and I can assure you I would be a great judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Next, Mr. Eddie Guidry. Green light.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Eddie Guidry. For those of you who don't know me, I'm from St. Bartonville. I'm 59 years old. My better half is here tonight, Laura Putnam. We've been together for 9 years. I have one son, Edmund Lewis Guidry IV, who lives in California, and hopefully it will be moving back to Louisiana at the end of this year. I'll tell you a little bit about me personally. I'm the middle child of 5 children. My father is Judge Edmund L. Guidry, Jr., who was a 16th Judicial District Judge in the 60s and 70s. He retired as the Chief Judge of the Third Circuit Court of Appeals 15 or 20 years ago. So he is still alive. He's 89 years old as of the other day. My mother, Elaine, also known as Noonie, she won't let me tell you how old she is, but she was born the same year as my daddy. She was a teacher and retired and then became a homemaker. My older brother, Danny, is an attorney and who I've practiced law with for the last 34 years. My older sister, Eileen, is a registered nurse who retired and now helps her husband, Tommy Landry, who's a physical therapist here in New Iberia. My younger brother, Gary, who's a year younger than me, is a pulmonologist in Lafayette, Louisiana, with Guidry, Brown, Rolston, and Broussard. His firm runs the ICU at Lafayette General, so if anyone in your family has been in the ICU at Lafayette General, Gary's probably treated you, or one of his doctors in his firm has. My younger sister, Michelle, who's 10 years my junior, is Gary's office manager and runs Guidry, Brown, Rolston, and Broussard. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my professional experience. I grew up in St. Bartonville. I've been a lifelong resident of the 16th Judicial District, growing up in St. Bartonville. I currently live outside of St. Bartonville, out in the country. I raise horses. Unlike Mr. Pittman, we have 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 27 horses. I graduated from Catholic High School here in New Iberia in 1974, received a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration Law from LSU in 1978, and graduated from LSU Law School in 1981. For the last 34 years, I've practiced law first with the firm of McHugh and Guidry, and then 4 years later we formed Guidry and Guidry, and I've been with Guidry and Guidry for the last 30 years. I've tried judge and jury trials in both state and federal courts. I've argued cases in both state and federal courts of appeal, and I'm one of the few attorneys from Louisiana to ever argue a case before the United States Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. Of the 3 candidates here tonight that have qualified, I'm the only candidate with judicial experience. I have, for the last 11 years, served as magistrate of the St. Martinville City Court. When at another forum they asked us, what are the traits that you have that would make you a good judge? I said fairness, compassion, and patience. Fairness is something that I was taught throughout my life. My parents were always very strict on everybody being fair to people. Compassion is something that I learned from my father. When my father was a district judge, I can remember my mother telling us, y'all better be on your best behavior today because your daddy had juvenile court today. Because that was the hardest thing that he ever had to do was to have to take a crying baby away from a parent that was abusing the baby. Both parent and child crying, but the safety of the child required that he take that child away. And it was something that just tore him up. And that's the compassion that I learned from my father. The third thing is patience. A judge has to have patience. The people who come before you at 9 o'clock in the morning are going to catch you fresh. The people who come before you at 5 or 5:30 in the afternoon deserve the same amount of patience that you had with that person at 9 o'clock in the morning. Patience is not something that was an innate trait for me. It was something that was learned. Patience is something that you have to practice, and it's something that I've practiced for the last 59 years of my life. When I was in college, I remember getting ready for my first exam as a freshman. My mother sent me a card that said, "Dear God, please give me patience, but I need it right now." Patience is something that I've practiced, and I know that I can be patient with people. I know that I will make a good judge, and I hope that you will vote and support me. Thank you very much.
First, I'd like to thank the Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce, the Daily Iberian, and the Iberian Leadership Iberia for giving me the privilege of coming before you and introducing myself and my campaign to you. My name is Nick LaRocca. I live in Berwick, Louisiana, and I'm seeking the office of District Judge, which comprises the parishes of Iberia, St. Martin, and St. Mary. I'm 63 years old, I'm married, I have 5 children and 5 grandchildren. My origin, unlike my opponents, is relatively humble. My grandfather was a trapper and fisherman in the basin. My daddy was a mailman. I've been working since I was 11 years old. I was a paper boy, I was a janitor, I delivered beer, I delivered mail in St. Martin Parish, and I was a farmhand for a couple of years. The experience taught me the value of labor and the dignity in all work. I worked my way through high school. I worked my way through LSU undergraduate and LSU law school. My entire educational career has been within the public school system. I have talked to the people of this district, not all 175,000, but many. And I've listened. And I know that the people of this district expect the most qualified and the best experienced lawyer that they can get to fill this office. I earned my Juris Doctor degree from LSU Law School in 1976. I graduated with honors, ranked 7th in my class of 303. While I was at law school, I was awarded numerous scholarships, thank God, awards and awards. I won awards in constitutional law and labor law. I was inducted into various honor societies, including Order of the Coif and Phi Kappa Phi. I was a member of the Louisiana Law Journal and had the privilege of publishing 2 legal articles in that journal. Since my graduation from law school, I've been inducted into the LSU Hall of Fame in recognition of academic excellence. I was appointed by the Louisiana Supreme Court to serve as an assistant bar examiner to determine the fitness of applicants for admission to the bar. I taught at LSU Law Center to law students, and under the aegis of various specialty bars and the Nicholls State University, I've taught law to other lawyers and to laypersons. I've served as the editor of the Louisiana State Bar Journal. I've earned a judicial rating of preeminent lawyer, signifying the highest level of professional excellence based on objective peer review by other members of the bar and by the judiciary. For the past 40 years, I've earned my living in the courtrooms of Iberia, St. Mary, and St. Martin parishes. As an actual courtroom lawyer, I have tried thousands of cases, both civil and criminal, before judges and juries, both in federal and state court, and yes, all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Some of my appellate arguments have been adopted by courts to fashion law where none existed before. My appellate cases have been cited by courts as authoritative precedent in over 5,000 cases in all states and all federal circuit courts of appeal. My clients have included a wide range of people, from parents and spouses to Exxon and Texaco. I represented Tesh Electric Cooperative in Jeanerette for many years. I'm currently representing a number of citizens in Iberia and St. Martin before the Public Service Commission, trying to get in a water utility case. I represent a hospital service district. I've represented the city of Franklin, chief of police, the city of Morgan City, chief of police. I've represented lawyers and judges. I am a litigator, and I receive many of the cases as referrals from other lawyers. I believe that when God took, when we took God out of the classroom, it began a decay of our society that continues to grow. We can no longer tolerate disruptions in the classroom or violence and attacks on our teachers. They deserve respect and attention. We can no longer tolerate truancy or carrying weapons or bullying in our schools. Too long, juvenile crimes have been dismissed as misbehavior. We must begin to pay attention to our young people. We must reach out to them, direct them, inspire them, change their attitudes toward teachers and towards learning. I also believe that all life has dignity from the moment of conception to the moment of natural death. I'm a devout Catholic, and I am a Eucharistic minister. I'm a master catechist. I teach catechism. I teach adult faith formation. I have numerous ministers within my church and my diocese. I believe that Roe versus Wade was wrongly decided based on women's rights to privacy, ignoring the deprivation of life of the unborn child, which it's entitled to under the 14th Amendment. I believe that prayer in the classroom should not be forbidden, and there's nothing in the First Amendment that does so. I believe that the Second Amendment right to own and bear arms should be protected and respected. And I believe that frivolous lawsuits should not be tolerated. They harm our profession, they harm our economy, and they cost us jobs. I have not gotten rich practicing law over the last 40 years, but the law has enriched me. I want to give something back to the law, and I want to give something back to the citizens of this district who have been so kind to me. The district judge is an important office. The district judge is called upon to make thoughtful decisions which impact the lives of our citizens in order to our communities. When we all work together, we can restore order to our communities and restore confidence in our judicial system. Now, I'm in favor of interventional programs such as drug court, but let me say this. Drug court needs some restructuring. It needs to be closely examined. And we can't be misled by statistics. You know, when the drug court says that 80% of the offenders are cured of their addiction, we have to examine what 80% does that mean? Does it mean 80% after 6 months? What happens after 7, 8, 9, or 10 months or a year? I'm tired of hearing that the jails are full. And I want to tell you that for violent criminals that assault our children, that assault our spouses, that assault our police officers and our teachers, for violent criminals who steal and rob and home invade, there will be room in the jail, because we will make room in the jail for those people. Because in my experience over 40 years, deterrence, that is, taking away the liberty that somebody has, teaching them to understand that liberty is not free, then they'll think twice before they engage in violent crimes again. I ask you humbly for your support. Thank you.
All right, this concludes tonight's introduction of the 16th Judicial Judge candidates for Division D. We certainly appreciate the time and effort put forth by the candidates. Can we give everybody a round of applause?